Oh no, I'm kind of far from my mic. All right, what's good? Welcome back to Guy Talks About His Life. I never can seem to do these at a reasonable time of day. It's currently 1 in the morning. And what's new? Well, I've just come to terms for a long time about just shutting out this summer. But what I actually did is I recently went to a summer camp at a college to learn artificial intelligence related work. It sounds like a flex, but realistically, I sat in a room with 100 CS majors, and honestly, it was a great time. I made a lot of friends. I made a lot of like quality connections too, like people who could actually vouch for my work. It was ran by Amazon, so you gotta spend a lot of time one on one with Amazon employees, and that was fun. And it was like a weird turning point for me, where I actually got validation that I was like a reasonable, like decent person. That sounds crazy, but at least in my time, like my experience at home, around like my non-college related friends, or even among some of my college related friends, I just repeatedly got this feeling that I'm not good enough, right? It's like I don't have the right experience, or just the way that I express myself isn't great. I'm like, I feel like I don't have any value to people, or I feel like I'm behind. And that's the imposter syndrome, right? And I'm like, I don't believe it's real, in the sense that you write your own story. You have your own pacing. Nobody else is going to tell you how your story is supposed to be, but it still bothers me, you know? It sits in the back of my mind that I'm not where I'm supposed to be at the current point in life, and then you beg the question, like, how are you supposed to measure where you're supposed to be? And that's a difficult question to answer. I think another thing that bothers me is that I'm surrounded by so much opportunity that it's really easy to think that if somebody else was in my shoes, that they would be able to get more of the life that I've led. But they face the same life that I lead, would they also develop the same complacency? Would they face the same issues? Would they struggle socially? Would they even care? It's like, who knows? They're never going to be me. That hypothetical situation is not particularly useful, but there is always that pressure of the best time that you have is now. All right. The moment that you're living in currently is the most valuable money that you're going to ever have. The freshest your brain is going to be. The best time of your life, in theory, is now. And that might not be true, but the best time of your life will ever be is now, because you're only going to be ever living in the present, if that makes sense. And I've been trying to enjoy it. So I've been working, I've been spending a lot of my time just like sleeping and doom scrolling and gathering information and studying where I can. Recently did a technical interview and I found it very easy for once, which is very strange. The questions weren't particularly difficult. Computer science people, valid parentheses, it wasn't the recursive case, and a recent ancestor, but the tree is hard coded, so you didn't actually need to make like a tree class. So that was cool, and there wasn't a particularly elegant solution either. It was very straightforward, but bottom of the line is I've been getting into a groove, do applications, not necessarily network with people, but do a little bit of media, do a little bit of video editing, do a lot of gaming, reaching out to people, socializing. Like I have a nice balance where like if one friend reaches out to me to hang out, and then I'll usually reach out to hang out, and we'll have this nice back and forth where we're like alternating planning hangouts. And maybe that's just like my autism to see it as a transactional thing, but it's like it's less I want to return the gratitude and more like I don't want to double text and feel like they're always trying to come with me. Like I want to have like mutual hangouts. And there's some people that, you hang out with them like once in the summer and that's it. And then that's all they want. And there's other people who you hang out with like all the time in summer. And it's just nice to I guess have that balance between my friends. And that's currently what I've been experiencing. So yeah, life's been good. Spending a lot of time with friends and spending a lot of time with family. And I've gotten some nice social validation that even though I didn't get like the internship I wanted, nor the job that I thought I was gonna get, passing an interview, that also, fun fact, you can pass an interview and still not get the job, right? Like, you can pass interviews all the way through and, like, get the answer correct, but somebody else could still have done better on that portion of the interview and still answered it better than you, and then, well, you don't make it. Or you could pass the interview and they won't give you the job right away, and you're just going to sit in a pool for, like, Amazon and randomly say, oh, we have a job opening for you. And that's kind of what I encountered. More like I went into a startup and then I interviewed, and then it just never got back to me. They said, let me do a head count. They never told me I was rejected or accepted, but they told me that I did well in the interview. Who does that? That's so messed up. And that's just a super common and normal practice. And you know what? I do what I can. I missed funding this summer. Some research deliverables that I just didn't do. And honestly, it was just completely my fault, and I can't even get mad at that. But I guess we'll just see what happens when I get back to school. And that's in a month. That's why it's called 1 month left. I'm not gonna die. I realize that this title just looks like I have cancer. No, I'm doing good. I haven't gotten like the diarrhea parasite or anything. Life's been generally pretty good, but holy crap! Completely forgot the point of what I was talking about. When I came home, I got reminded of how much of a terrible person that I apparently was, and how it was so difficult to be my friend, and how I was like the last person that you want to introduce to a girlfriend, like all those things that I've talked about previously, and that sucked. And I talked to my mom about it, as I always do, and it just has this weird juxtaposition where I had like a really good week, and I was actually really happy. I made friends. I had this like end of camp vibes. Have you ever been to a family camp, or have you ever been to a camp where like you get to know a lot of people and you socialize a lot? At the end of those camps, there's always just like this weird feeling of like, dang, I wish that the camp could be longer. I had a lot of fun. I had great experiences, and you're trying to squeeze in time with people as much as you can. It's the same feeling of like the end of when you're graduating and you're going on, like especially high school or college, and you're saying goodbye to all these people. It's that feeling where it's like you just know things aren't going to be the same, even though things don't really change. It's like the distance makes things difficult, right? Same thing. Why long distance is more difficult than close distance, because like you can just find the people like right there, but you can't do that. One, there's more distance, and it's more of an effort to stay in contact with people and stay around people. And unfortunately, that's why this competition is kind of nice, because when you apply for something and it's super competitive, you end up around a lot of like-minded people because they've had to do very similar experiences to get to that one spot in general, or they've had to overcome triumph and they have some sort of value system which is similar to yours in order for you to have similar accolades, to be at similar levels. Like there's levels to this, just genuinely. And yeah, so in dissecting that and that part of my identity, it's the success criteria that I'm looking at. It's like what kind of person do I want to be? What kind of people do I want to like me? Which is a weird question to ask, because it's like you can't force people to like you, which is true. But the things that I value and that I want to find in my life should be aligned with the people, with the person that I want to be, and also with the people that I want to surround myself with. And I had this weird realization moment where I was really grateful that the people in my life are people that I just find genuinely likable and generally likable too. I find it really difficult to imagine a person that dislikes my friends. And that's weird too, because I'm allegedly not a very particularly likable person, and I, of course, find that hard to believe. But at the same time, I don't, because I like being a little bit embarrassing. I like not being the most PC person. I like speaking my mind. And there's this idea out there like, oh, you should just be fake. Just be fake to everyone. I think about the person, I think the kind of things that they want from me, and I just provide that. And to some people that might sound exhausting, but honestly, I was doing that at that camp. I was just hyping up this like super chill person with like not a bunch of opinions, but was knowledgeable and like talking about things. But most importantly, I listened to people, and I reminded people of things that they told me that they might have forgotten, and then I activated them. I was like, wow, this person was really listening to me, and that makes people happy. And honestly, it made me happy. And I was just looking to make like quality connections out there. This guy thought I was Japanese. I just really hammed it up that I was Japanese, even if I wasn't. And then other times I was just the person who had answers. I was the person that conversated, and I was the person that listened. And I'm not like that 24/7. Like my authentic person, I'm not authentic, but I guess like my snap answer, I can be like really pushy in the sense that I really believe that things should be said a certain way. Or when you articulate something, I'm not going to default understand the thing that you meant to say. I'm not going to read your intention perfectly every single time, and I'm not going to assume the best of you, even if that's what I would want from other people. And that's the reality of it, where the person, which is my impulses, may not match the person that I want to be, and I need to filter myself into an older me, a younger me, a me from the past, not an older me. Older me is me. I would see that as fake, having to filter yourself. And in high school, I really pushed this notion of being fake, and I also pushed this notion of reciprocity, of mutuality, of responding to people's energy. And I found it so unfair when I got dissed for something which somebody else didn't get dissed for, and they did the same thing. That's double standard, and it's honestly very common. And context matters, is what people say. It's the same reason why like people feel so strongly against hitting a girl, and it's okay if another girl hits a girl. But realistically, none of us should be hitting each other. But it's suddenly okay if some of us hit each other. So, ideas, but I say that because unfortunately that's how life is. And you don't get that control over it. You just have to live with it. And I guess I made a decision to start being fake, so to speak, or to start filling up people's expectations to not meet the reciprocity with whatever they were putting out, to not be mutual. And that would suck to a younger me to not have that nuance. And unfortunately, I permanently burned bridges by not having that nuance, because some people have a love language. That's sure. Let's talk about love languages. Some people have a love language which doesn't match their receiving one. They provide affection in a different way in which they want to receive affection. A lot of people struggle in relationships because they just keep pushing out the affection that they want, and that's their call to help, instead of trying to read what the other person wants and how they may receive affection and how they understand things. And it becomes difficult trying to translate into each other's languages. I've talked about it on this channel before, but I got really pissed off when an ex-girlfriend of mine said that I wasn't putting in effort, because what I saw behind the scenes was I was doing work late at night to get everything out of the way so I could drive home and be in the weekend and be fully present with her. And sometimes she just wanted to be on her phone when we were present, and that would piss me off, and I would just stay quiet about it. Other times I, again, was driving home every single weekend, and I brushed it off like, oh, I'm spending time with my family. And to me, making it seem like the things that you did weren't a particularly big deal, even when they were, is a part of the love language, because it's reassuring the other person that you are not a burden to me, but I still care for you and I'm putting this effort in. But you, as a receiver of that, need to be able to recognize that this person is putting in effort for you, and then you express that gratitude by putting that effort back in return. And that's something which I understood. But not other people express that effort in the same way, you know? And to her, I wasn't doing the late night phone calls. Maybe I didn't send a good night text all the time. I didn't text her just like thinking of you. I would just send a reel in which she saw the reels as like a burden, you know? But to me, I was just like, oh, I was just like thinking of you, or this reminded me of you. And she told me once, and it's kind of irked me, that she got all the gifts that she wanted to get for me like I was some problem that needed to be solved, because the gifts were like clothes and shoes, and it's just like I needed to up my style. And she's just like, oh yeah, I just checked all the boxes. I'm like, am I just like a Build-A-Bear? And it was kind of nice that she, you know, wanted to upgrade my style, and like maybe I was just slowly turning into like her perfect boyfriend, and she just wanted to check all these boxes off of like her romantic type vibe, which honestly wouldn't be a super big stretch because I was her first boyfriend. You know, you check the box of like, oh, what is sex like, what is it like to have a boyfriend? What is it like to celebrate the birthdays and to meet the family? And well, you check all the boxes like, oh wow, this relationship stuff's like kind of boring. It's just a lot of effort translating into each other's languages. I feel like I'm not getting supported in the right ways, and I'm struggling to articulate how to support. I just wish that you knew. I just wish that we had this sort of connection that we didn't need to like explicitly disclose. I wish that you weren't so rules based. I wish you could understand that things change. And that was a lot of the struggles that I had in the relationship, because, well, sometimes the success criteria isn't particularly clear. And that's just the difficulty of dating someone, right? That people change, and sometimes people don't want change in some areas, and people change in other areas. And that's not explicitly said every single time something changes. And when you try to address it with strict rules instead of trying to understand people's feelings and intentions and their circumstances and having this built-in sympathy, it's difficult. And this might immediately put me on the spectrum, which is understandable, but life's hard. And just on that same note of the way that people receive and give may be different, and they may be looking for different things, you can't just meet people's energy the exact same and expect it to be to be how it goes, I guess, or to be received the way that you intend. Unfortunately, I think I'm going to talk about this. I think I have talked about it a bit, but your intentions may not match how your actions are received. Your intentions may not always get through. Intentions and actions are both significant. It's not like one is more significant than the other. And unfortunately, it varies. And people will draw from their lived experiences and they'll make a guess, and that's like how we all see the world, and how much nuance we want to see the world for, how much effort that we have, that varies. If you're tired and life is beating you up, you're not going to really care to have the nuance, to really look deeply into why this person said this thing a certain way, or why you express yourself in a certain way, and maybe they'll understand it in retrospect. You're just going to like live your life, right? And man, really going on a crazy tangent, but and bottom of the line is, like, people are going to see the world how they're going to see it, and you have no control over that, and that sucks, and this is how it is. And in a perfect world, you would just meet people's energy with what they give you. You would be perfectly mutual and reciprocal, and not everything would have to be weighed so transactionally. We'd all just not have to worry about our energy and how much money we have and all that good stuff, and where we're spending our time and all that good stuff. That's just not how it goes. And when I feel like somebody has no value to me, and if somebody else feels like I have no value to them, then something's gonna have to change. Or only one person could feel that way, and then you're gonna be left heartbroken, and that's just how it is. So, socially, all that exposition, I'm like, what does that mean for me? I mostly just want a job, honestly. I want people that want to support me and my ambitions, and I want people that want the best for me and assume the best for me and hold me accountable, which sounds a little bit contradictory. It's like, what do you mean assume the best of me? Assume that I have it all figured out. Well, you need the space to grow. And this is something that I see all the time in education. It's like these parents, they want their teacher to like hound their kid. They want their teacher to like be on top of their kid 24/7. They don't want their kids to be talking at all. And sometimes I see kids, they work really well when they're just, working and chatting and chilling. And other kids, like, they need the stress. And unfortunately, you don't work as well under stress, under pressure. Some kids, like, they just sit in class and you learn. I'm like, I have a friend. He has a 4.0 at my college, and he really just sits in class and he learns. He doesn't take notes. He just listens, and then he learns the material later. And that's so crazy to me. And to me, I'm like, I need to make some sort of notes. I need to make a mind map. I need to be recording like something. I need to have some sort of documentation to prove that I learned, and to go back on and remember the time that I was in lecture and what they were talking about, or when they're talking about something, I need to be connecting it to ideas that I've had throughout my life in order to recall it, in order to have it like ingrained into something. And that's not the case for this particular guy. And I guess that's how I'm approaching my life, like a little bit. I want people to assume that I'm trying, and to also want the best for me. And when I say something outrageous or outlandish, of course, I want them to call me out on it, but assume that I had good intentions behind whatever I am saying, and not just like absolutely kill me and cancel me or whatever, because that's happened to me, and it sucks, because nobody hears your side, and everybody sees things for how they want to see things. And a lot of people will tell you, like, that just demonstrates their worth as a person. That demonstrates that how they valued you. They didn't see you as something beyond just what their own understanding of the world was. But, like, it's the same thing as someone just says try harder. How could you try harder than you possibly know how to try? Or how could you do better than you possibly could? And yeah. So, slowly losing my train of thought, but at least in terms of the identity, I want to use the privilege that my parents gave me to not stress myself the hell out, and to enjoy my life while I still have the opportunity to. They made it very clear to me that even though tomorrow is not guaranteed, don't feel the pressure to be perfect today. And that's great. And I've appreciated that a lot. So I've been enjoying my summer. I've been enjoying the time with my people, because honestly, I'm like looking at the future, and I'm like, I don't know when I'm going to be able to see my friends again. Like, really, sincerely. And yeah, I want to become somebody who I guess you can rely on. I think my dad told me that one day you'll be Mr. Reliable, and I want to be able to come through for my family first, and I want to demonstrate to my family that I care and that I want to be there and be present, and that's the kind of person that I'm trying to be in general. So, traditional form of success, likable to the people that I like, and someone who shows up for people. I think that's just like the sweetest, the nicest thing that you could do. And don't worry too much about the relationship. It'll follow. Okay, that's about it. I'm sure that I'll have more to say later, but I'm drawing a blank right now because I went on a really deep tangent. Okay, bye.